All right, we're about to get into a really personal story here. It's all pieced together from this incredibly detailed private journal kept by a father, and it's an archive of love, of loss, and this 15-year fight just to have a relationship with his son.
So, this is a story about a father named Mark and his son Joshua. And it really all starts right here, with this simple, handwritten note. From a kid to his dad. It's a memory Mark actually laminated and carried with him for years. But now, it's just this painful reminder of a bond that was completely broken by years of court-ordered separation.
So after years and years of no contact, Mark is trying to reconnect, but it is just so difficult. He's writing letters, like this one, just trying to explain this huge absence in his son's life that he swears was never his choice. And it all just leads to this one central, really painful question.
I mean, how does something like this even happen? To get a handle on what's going on in the present, the letters, the texts that go unanswered, these really awkward meetings at a bus stop, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. And it's all laid out for us in Mark's journal.
Okay, so let's start with a fractured beginning. According to Mark's journal, the original plan was actually pretty progressive. They were going to build this sort of modern family, co-parenting his friends after he came out. But, well, that whole ideal, it just completely fell apart, crushed under the weight of money, arguments, and some really, really personal conflict.
So check out this timeline. The journal lays out exactly how things started to unravel. It starts in 2003, what was supposed to be this forward-thinking family. After Mark came out to Joshua's mom, Tess, it just completely implodes within months. First, there's a fight over money. 21 grand he put into the house, and he gets kicked out. And then, just a little while later, he writes that he was denied a weekend with his son. And that was really the first major crack in their relationship.
And that brings us to the next chapter, the battle for Joshua. The years that followed were just a constant, documented struggle. I mean, Mark's journal is this incredibly detailed record of conflict over pretty much every single aspect of Joshua's childhood.
And what the journal really shows is this deep, fundamental clash in parenting styles. On one side, you have Mark logging all his concerns about Joshua's ADHD, his grades slipping, his exposure to really violent video games. And on the other side, he's claiming that Tess is doing things like ending behavioral services, letting him play R-rated games, just creating all these inconsistencies that he felt were seriously hurting their son.
But here's the thing, it wasn't just a one-sided thing, at least not in the communication. Mark saved everything, including this email from 2011 from Tess, where she's accusing him of not taking their son's ADHD seriously. So you can see, the communication just totally broke down. It became this storm of accusations flying back and forth, and he saved every single one of them.
So from his point of view, from the records he kept, this really painful pattern starts to emerge. He felt like he was constantly being shut out of the big decisions, but then he was getting blamed for the problems that came later. His journal is filled with details about having to go to court just to get more time with Joshua, all while feeling like his advice, his input as a parent, was just being completely ignored.
And all of this constant fighting, it's all building to what is probably the single most critical event in this whole story. We're talking about one signature, a single signature that was about to change everything, both legally and emotionally. After a decade of fighting, the journal describes this moment, a moment he says was born out of pure exhaustion and, he claims, a lot of manipulation. It's the moment where one signature on one piece of paper was about to sever a 12-year relationship.
So here's how he says it went down. His lawyer gets this proposal, right? Sign away your parental rights, and it'll cease the tension. So he signs it, but, and this is key, he believes he's still going to have contact with his son. But then, just 4 hours later, he says he gets this awful feeling, emails his lawyer and says, void that signature. We need to add language that guarantees my relationship with Joshua. But he claims that request was just ignored. The document, the one he tried to void, got filed with the court anyway, and just like that, all his legal ties to his son were gone. In this journal entry right here, this really gets to the heart of his feeling of betrayal. He is absolutely adamant. He says, at no time was I ever told that I would be terminating my relationship with my son. He insists he never, ever would have signed if he knew it meant zero contact. And that one moment, that becomes the fuel for everything he does next.
So, let's talk about the unseen record. In the years of forced separation that came after that signature, his whole purpose shifted. If he couldn't be a parent, well, he was going to become an archivist. 15 years. That's how long he was battling, in and out of court. So he starts building this archive. It's his personal testament, built over all those years of fighting, and he saved everything, just hoping that one day his son would get to see it.
And the level of detail is just staggering. Get this, he logged 45 pediatrician visits for Joshua by the time he was just 7 years old. 45. He saved every single appointment, every note, every record. It's just incredible.
So what is a father's archive? It's everything. Every email, text, voicemail, school report, medical record, every memory. It's all he had left to give his son. It was his proof, his memory, his side of the story, all of it preserved just for the chance that one day Joshua would want to see it and maybe understand the father he lost.
Okay, so this brings us full circle, back to where we started, in 2017-2018. It's an unresolved story. Mark, now armed with this massive archive he's built, starts this desperate campaign to try and reconnect with his son, who's a teenager now.
You can see him trying here. He's texting Tess, asking for Joshua's phone number. He's messaging her sister, Josephine, telling her, look, I have proof I was lied to, that I was cheated out of my relationship with my son. But according to his journal, all of these pleas, they just go unanswered.
So he starts going to Joshua's bus stop just to see him, but the encounters are just so uncertain and awkward. And when he finally asks his son, why can't we see each other, Joshua's reply is just heartbreaking. He says, I don't know, I don't have a good memory. Can you imagine hearing that? It leaves Mark wondering if he's even a parent anymore, or if he's just, in his own words, an afternoon snack.
And his journal is just filled with this overwhelming sense of loss. It's this belief that after a 16-year war of attrition, he lost. She won you, he writes. It's this terrible feeling that his son's memory of him has been completely shaped by his absence, and by a story that he was never there to counter.
So it leaves us with this question. When one person's meticulously kept truth is all that remains, what story does it really tell? In the end, this archive is everything that's left. It's one father's version of the truth, saved with the hope that maybe, one day, it might fill the years of silence. And it's a testament not just to a broken relationship, but to the powerful and sometimes really tragic nature of memory itself.